Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We have another round of top 3 videos with disturbing backstories. This is part 4. For y'all who don't know or didn't see it. But it's an old throwback, not new, but new to us. So with that being said, before we get into the stories, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
Everyone always asks us about content. They be like, oh, you react? We be like, yeah, we react to it. Extra dose link in the description box. We got other channels. We always say that every video. We got other channels, man. We got other things we do. It's just, we'll be flooding this channel, and we want to be able to, and then, to be honest, we post once or twice over there. We might end up having another channel just because it's so much we could be able to do. We want to be able to expand. But also, if you enjoy today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up. Also,
check out the Patreon, man. It's exclusive content that don't show up on YouTube. That is over there. Some people like, hey, just go show some support if you want to see some stuff that we absolutely do not upload on YouTube. But you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about.
Today, I'm going to share with you 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I'm going to share the video that is famously associated with them. But before I get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please ask the like button if you can borrow their car and then return it with the gas gauge on empty. Also, please subscribe to this.
Now, you want to come borrow my car? Most people come over and borrow their neighbor's sugar. Maybe some Kool-Aid packets.
Hey,
but you want to borrow my car?
I've been saying, yeah.
What you finna say?
And also, I've been seeing a lot of posts lately where people and their friends borrow their car.
I ain't let nobody. Nah.
It's been some BS behind it.
Yeah, it's out. Don't let nobody borrow your car, man. Like, even like family, man, it's a lot of drama come behind somebody borrowing your car. If you ain't riding it, and then some people, it be some drama behind letting somebody drive the car for you. If you in it. Yeah. You hit that curb. I ain't hit the curb. Yeah, I felt it. You feeling some different vibration in that passenger seat. That's all. It's a different vibration. That's all it is, man.
You can borrow their car and then return it with the gas gauge on empty. Also, please subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. Anna Malaya was born November 4th, 1983, to very poor and alcoholic parents in the Ukraine. In the winter of 1986, when Oksana was only 3 years old, in a drunken stupor, her parents forgot about her outside in the cold of winter. And because she was locked out, instinctively she crawled towards the nearest source of warmth, which was the family's kennel, where a whole bunch of dogs were sleeping. And incredibly, once she crawled inside of this kennel, not only did the dogs allow her to sleep there that night, but they kind of embraced her as one of their own. The next day, Oksana did not go back in the house, and her parents seemingly did not notice her absence. And over the next 5
years...
No, this is a whole...
What year was this?
19... Now wow. She was born in 83. This is 1986 now.
I know you lying.
But... Ain't no goddamn way you don't know
your child is not in the house, that's missing. Like,
y'all not
tending to her? Like, I'm confused.
I have said this before in previous videos, and I'm going to say it again now. There should be an IQ test before people have kids. Everybody is not meant to bring life into this world.
What is wrong? I'm so
I don't care what nobody say. Everyone is not fit to suit to... Because the mindset of a lot of people, man. And then have an offspring.
Oksana would stay with this family of dogs, essentially living like she was part of their pack. which meant over those 5 very formative years from ages 3 to 8 years old, Oksana had almost no interaction with humans. Oksana rapidly learned how to behave like a dog and began only walking on all fours. She would bark instead of try to speak, and she would eat raw meat. By the early 90s, Oksana no longer identified as a human. She identified as a dog. And it was in the early 90s when a passerby happened to see Oksana running around on all fours in the back of her house in the woods, and they called the police, wondering what was wrong with this person. The police show up, and Oksana's dog family runs out and starts barking at the police to protect Oksana, and Oksana would start barking ferociously to protect herself from being captured. But eventually the police would use meat to lure the rest of the dogs away so they could retrieve the child. When she was taken into custody, doctors saw that she not only had forgotten how to walk on 2 legs, she also couldn't speak. And doctors were concerned that because she had had almost no exposure to human language for all those formative early years, that she might not actually have the capacity to speak anymore. Oksana was taken to an orphanage where she would eventually learn how to walk on 2 legs, and amazingly, she would learn how to speak. But despite these incredible gains she made towards re-entering society, her experience living with the dogs had really left a mark on her. Although she could speak, she could only speak in monotone with no rhythm and no intonation, and it was actually difficult to follow what she was saying because of that. A psychologist did an assessment of Oksana and determined that her mental capacity was only that of a 6-year-old, despite being a young adult at the time of this assessment. By the time she was 22 years old and had more or less re-entered society, she finally was able to have a boyfriend, and he didn't know much about her past. But when she decided to show him how easy it was for her to run around and bark like a dog, it apparently scared him, and he broke up with her and did not see her again. Today, Oksana lives on a farm taking care of animals, and she was recently interviewed on a Ukrainian talk show where she says she no longer wants to live like or act like a dog, she just wants to be a person. Here is some footage of Oksana Malaya acting like a dog.
Oh, she got that shit down. You know how we be like, no, she really learned how to live like a dog.
That's crazy. My only question is, I understand she didn't have like any.
Parents.
That's what, right, babe. I understand that she, from what?
Age 3 to 8.
From age 3.
Hold on. What age you trying to look for?
Well, I'm not trying to look at any age. I'm just saying I understand, like, all, from birth to whenever, that she didn't have, like, I guess other, like, kids as friends or around, like, other people besides her parents. But my thing is, one, why didn't they have her around other people? Was the parents just weird?
Or she could have been the only child. They could have been living off in a country area. So
I'm saying she didn't go, like, to school?
She's just 3. Like, this daycare age.
Yeah, I know she's just 3.
But also, you got to look at the fact that they abandoned her. So they didn't give two fucks about her. As a mother, you birthed someone. You don't forget about them. That's a human being that came out of you, unless she was kidnapped at some point. Could be. But you don't just forget that, hey, I have a child. There's a forever attachment to someone. Mm-hmm. 2, you don't go 3 years with a child in your life and then just all of a sudden one day you just wake up and say, oh, I forgot I even took care of a child for 3 years. Yeah. To be honest, she probably was taking care of better with the dogs than she was even all the way to her year 3 of her life with the parents she had. And whatever the fuck happened to them? Do they not be held responsible for whatever she went through? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was my other question that I was going to say. But, like, were they held responsible first for leaving her outside by herself with the dogs? How long, and I'm wondering, like, how long did y'all allow that to go on? One.
Well, up until she was 8 years old. She wasn't with them from the age 3 to 8. So that's 5 years. From 1986 up until 1991. Yeah. She was out living amongst, and who discovered her to even report because obviously she wasn't even around. Because, typically with dogs, they travel in packs.
It was the neighbor, right?
Oh, I ain't write that part down. So.
I think the neighbor seen her in the back running around like and whatever she was doing. But my thing is, somebody's feeding the dogs, right? So when y'all throwing meat and stuff out here to the dogs or throwing whatever, she's out here. Like, what are we? I'm just so confused. I'm just a little confused as to who allowed this to go on for so long. As parents, I'm like, really? Did she ever come? Did she ever come in the house?
Or did y'all just
like, hey, we just go? It's just weird. I think I can't wrap my head around it because it's so weird.
Honestly, with her behavior, no, she never came in the house.
She couldn't have.
She learned how to live, eat, hunt, whatever.
She wasn't talking. Y'all didn't even talk to like nothing.
You know what would be a good question to ask her? What the hell do dogs really be saying? Because obviously you can speak dog and you can speak human. She is someone you could be like, so what is certain actions mean? What do certain actions mean of a dog?
Yeah.
She will have to know. She has 5 years of experience.
For real though.
Like let's be real. So if a dog is whining a certain way, what is that? You would know. You should know.
That's crazy because that's all she knew. She was communicating with them. They was communicating
with her. And she can still do it. Enough where she scared her boyfriend off. And and to be honest, what in your right mind would be like?
Somebody that
I can show you. I can live like a man. And she did it so well. I'd be like, hell no, bitch, I don't want dogs. Because then you might pass them traits on.
Not even that. Maybe you know how sometimes dogs that's scary.
You lift your leg up and pee.
Right?
No, she a girl, so they squat.
But we don't know, like with the other dogs, or all the other dogs girls, or
because dogs' behavior is learned. If you want your dog to stop pissing in the house, put him around other bigger dogs, and he will learn how.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like all the other dogs out here, were they girls or were they boy dogs? Because she's learning their behavior. So if they lifting their leg to pee,
but it's typically a pack, so. You never know.
I'm being like but I'm glad that she, doesn't want to live that way anymore. And she's, seems to be living
a normal, what we would say,
a normal life.
Yeah.
After being apart for many years, identical twin sisters Ursula and Sabina Eriksson were finally reunited on May 15th, 2008. Within 24 hours of their long-awaited reunion, the 41-year-old Swedish sisters boarded a ferry for Liverpool, England. They arrived in Liverpool at 8:30 in the morning on Saturday, May 17th, and their first stop was going to the St. Anne's police station, where Sabina would tell them that she's very concerned for the safety of her kids back in Ireland. The police would say, okay, we'll follow up, and they got in touch with their counterparts in Dublin, Ireland, who went over to the house and everything was fine. So the women leave the police station on foot and they make their way over to a bus stop, and they ultimately board a bus bound for London at about 11:30 in the morning. So they get in the bus and they start moving, and the driver asks them to take their luggage and put it in the luggage hold. But the women aggressively refuse to give up their luggage. And in fact, they start clutching their luggage against their chest. So the driver starts to feel really uncomfortable about having these two women on the bus, and ultimately decides to just pull over at a service station outside of the city and tell them to get off the bus. They get off, and the driver ends up calling the police and telling them there's something weird going on with these two women. I don't know what's inside their bags, but you might want to come check it out. As it happened, there was already a police officer at the service station who came right over to the women and started talking to them as the bus driver took off. During their conversation, the police officer felt like these two women were not a threat to anybody, and it was just a big misunderstanding, and they let them go. So the officer leaves, and these two women who don't have a car start walking down the highway on foot. Shortly thereafter, a security camera on the highway picks up the two women walking down the median of this very busy highway, and at some point they try to cross the street, and it's obvious as you're watching this video that they're not going to make it. There's so many cars, and immediately Sabina gets hit by a car. Now, Sabina was only grazed by the car, so she was okay, and she and her sister went back to the median of this highway, But enough motorists saw this happen that they called the police. And it just so happened that the responding patrol car that was in the area was being shadowed by a film crew that was filming for a TV show called Traffic Cops. So this patrol car shows up with cameras rolling, and they're able to get the sisters from the median over to the shoulder on the other side of the road. And they're talking to them like, what's going on? What are you doing here? And on camera, everything seems totally fine. Like, there is no major issues here. These women were just stranded and were making some bad decisions walking down a highway on foot. Then all of a sudden, Ursula turns away from the officers and tries to run into traffic. And there are cars whizzing by. They have not stopped traffic. And one of the officers manages to grab her arm, but only gets her jacket, which she's able to wriggle out of before launching into traffic, literally leaping into traffic, and gets hit by a huge truck going 60 miles an hour and gets thrown down the road. Literally a second later, as everyone's like, what is going on? Sabina yells, they're gonna steal your organs! And she leaps into traffic and gets hit by another car. Immediately, police run in the road, they stop traffic, and they go up to Ursula, who was the first to get hit, and they see her legs are definitely broken, but she's alive. As for Sabina, she was totally unconscious, and they didn't know if she was going to make it. When the paramedics finally show up, Ursula, who has the broken legs, fights to sit up, and they're trying to tell her, like, lay down, you're hurt, you have shattered legs, you're lucky to be alive, lay down. She's not listening. In fact, she's violently trying to sit up, and she starts spitting at the paramedics and the police and screaming obscenities at them like they're trying to hurt her. And they're like, we're the police, we're the paramedics, we're trying to help you. At the same time, Sabina regains consciousness, and even though paramedics and police are trying to keep her laying on the ground, she begins fighting her way up and is pushing the police off of her, and finally stands up and literally squares off with one of the police officers and decks her in the face before running down the road. Police would have to run down the road after her and literally surround her as she's got her fists up like she's going to fight anybody that touches her, and they would have to tackle her to the ground and put her in handcuffs just to keep her from hurting herself. Both sisters would be transported to the hospital, and when they got there, they both apparently were acting normal again. Ursula, because of her broken legs, would be admitted to the hospital, and apparently she would stay normal and would eventually make a recovery and would be released. There were no charges pressed against her. As for Sabina, the doctors checked her out, and she didn't appear to have any injuries. So they released her, and she was brought to the police station to be charged for punching the police officer in the face. That day, Sabina would plead guilty to her charges and would be sentenced to 1 day in custody that she served that night. The next day, she was released. So Sabina leaves the police station on foot, and later that night, she's walking down the road when she sees two men walking towards her who were named Glenn and Peter. She stops them and she says, hey, I'm looking for a bed and breakfast. Are there any good ones nearby? And Glenn would say, you know, it's funny, I own a bed and breakfast. You can stay at mine. Initially, Sabina seemed hesitant, like perhaps this was a trap, but ultimately she agrees, and the three of them go back to Glenn's B&B. Once they got there, Sabina apparently was constantly looking out all of the windows, acting very paranoid, and then at one point she offers the men a cigarette, and the men accept, and she hands them their cigarette, and she's about to light their cigarettes when she suddenly snatches them out of their mouths and says, oh, these might be poisoned, and she throws them in the trash. Just before midnight, Peter leaves, and Glenn and Sabina go to sleep in their respective rooms. The next day, Glenn gets up to make tea and food for Sabina, who's downstairs in the kitchen, but Glenn realizes he's out of tea bags. So he goes outside and he hollers to his neighbor Frank and says, hey, can I borrow some tea bags? Frank gives him the tea bags. Glenn goes back inside. About a minute later, Frank recalls seeing Glenn stagger out of the B&B, clutching his stomach, screaming, she stabbed me. And apparently his last words were, Frank, take care of my dog, before he ultimately died. Frank immediately calls the police, and Sabina immediately leaves the B&B and takes off running. She gets to a highway and she's running along the side of this highway, and a motorist named Josh sees Sabina running, and she's clutching a hammer that she's repeatedly hitting herself in the head with as she's running. Josh drives well past her and gets out to try to intercept her, but as she's running past him, she pulls a roof tile out of her pocket and throws it and hits Josh in the head. She runs past Josh, who's now clutching his head and can't stop her. She gets to this bridge that overlooks another road, and she leaps off. It's 40 feet to the ground, and when she hits the ground, she breaks both ankles and fractures her skull, but she lives and narrowly escapes being hit by another.
What the fuck is going on, bro?
Child.
That's the only thing I can keep thinking about in my head is like, what is going on in this situation this is crazy.
Very much so.
These two mother, and they were
wow.
What did he say they were like separated and they came in the beginning? Mm-hmm. So what the fuck is wrong with y'all?
I'm sitting here like
go back to my theory earlier.
Because what was it?
Everybody don't need to have kids because then
because for one minute I'm like, okay, they cool.
They got
and then the next they have something, and then the next minute it's kind of like some wiring, and they like off again, and then they back normal.
What is they normal?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said quotations normal. So I don't really know like what the issue is.
Because it seems their normal is not our normal.
And how long has this been happening? Have y'all always been like this, or did something happen?
Well, they didn't know about each other for a long time, right? That's what I'm saying.
But for both of y'all to be acting weird.
Or did one person influence the next?
I don't know.
And fractures her skull, but she lives and narrowly escapes being hit by another car. Eventually, police and paramedics are called, who transfer Sabina to a hospital where she once again is acting totally normal. Nothing like the crazy person that killed Glenn or was throwing roof tiles just hours earlier. Sabina would ultimately be arrested for murdering Glenn, and she would plead guilty to manslaughter. But she gave absolutely no explanation of why any of this happened. It was like she didn't understand and was a different person now. The defense claimed that although Sabina certainly killed Glenn, she should have diminished responsibility because she was suffering from a condition known as folie à deux. It's a French term that means madness of two, and basically it only presents itself in identical twins where one twin has a psychotic break and they transmit their insanity to the other twin. And amazingly, the prosecution accepted this claim, and they only gave Sabina 5 years for her crimes. Sabina would serve her 5-year sentence and was released in 2011, and to this day is a free woman. Here are some highlights from that film crew that captured Ursula and Sabina acting totally crazy on the side of the highway.
I don't know what the.
So now my only question is, which twin was the one that was?
No. So basically, while Ursula was in the hospital, they're throwing like basically that's what he's saying. They're throwing like so whatever like.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, going back to what I said earlier, I just want to know, I understand that you said they were separated. I guess I had missed that part.
I might be wrong.
I don't know. I guess I missed that part. So I'm wondering, like, was one the only one that was acting crazy at first and then transmitted to someone else?
It sounds like no. It's just they always go through. They go through crazy spells. So when one is acting crazy, the other one's normal, and then when the other one, so it's
just back and forth.
Yeah, so I guess when Ursula was getting hit, Sabina was like, she was okay, but after when Ursula falls and get hurt, now it's my turn. Triggering, it throws it to that shit.
Which is like crazy.
I ain't never heard of that before. Have you?
Not that.
That's weird, bro.
I mean, you learn something new every day.
I'm gonna have to ask some twins. You know any twins? Like, no. I'm saying like.
Yeah.
Like you come across like.
Do you know some twins?
I know some, but like not like that.
My little cousins.
Who? Oh.
And then
they triplets, ain't?
No, they twins.
I thought it was
they
three
twins.
of them.
No, not them. Not them. Oh, well, I got triplets.
They are triplets.
I said not them. I said they are triplets.
That's what I thought you was talking about.
No, I'm talking about the ones in Ohio. And then,
oh, you talking about them?
And then,
yeah, they might, because what your auntie be saying, they might be throwing it. So what else? You know what I'm saying?
And then my niece, daddy. I wonder. They grown.
They grown, but
they grown.
You know what? I've never seen them two though. Like together. Never seen them together.
Have you not?
Nah.
That's crazy.
But the triplets, they like I can get to catch them like they kind of all look alike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
well,
so,
not really. One of them look different than.
But I'm saying from like if say for instance you don't know them, if you look, you be like, you know what I'm saying? Like even with twins, you can kind of decipher which is which because it's something that's gonna be different, but it's very like rare. Like sometimes even it's like a hairline or even the way they smile because some twins smile the same.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one little thing on them that's like, okay, I can tell y'all apart. Yeah. But this... That's crazy. I never...
Yeah, that was a little different. And it's crazy that it was even caught on the little camera. It just so happened to... You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you tell somebody this, they would not believe it. Like, what happened?
I thought you were finna say
multiple personality I thought something like that as well.
And I'm like, both of them don't have to have it. And that's very rare, I feel.
Yeah.
But I guess this manner is very rare as well. When you say
true, and then since Sabina, so she was having her little spell, from
while Ursula was in
the hospital. Was Ursula acting out in the hospital?
See, those are no. So because Sabina was going through so Ursula will be normal.
That's what I'm saying, and then that's what I'm saying. Because at one point Sabina was normal.
So Ursula could have been in the hospital cutting up and trying to get out of the hospital, and so I need to know how she was acting in the hospital. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just curious.
But she couldn't do shit because her legs were broke. So it's not like she can get up and leave. I said ankle because Sabina was fucking.
Now her ankle.
40 feet. 40 feet.
Not the first, but the second time y'all have survived. You know what I'm saying?
Multiple. Well, one guy grazed by the car at first. Who was that? Sabina, right? Sabina got grazed the first time.
Yeah, Sabina the first time.
Then both of y'all get hit by a car.
Ursula got hit by a truck.
It's Sabina. Sabina the problem. Sabina worse than Ursula.
Listen, now you saying that, but that's what I was trying to say in the beginning. Like, is one worse off than the other? Yeah. Did one start this mess and then the other one just like, I'm gonna follow? Or does it just
off of
really a thing? Like this type of...
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's the first time I ever heard something like that. Y'all let us know, man, if y'all heard about this before.
New every day.
That's what life is about.
That's what life about. That's what they say.
In June of 2011, law student Lauren Giddings was only one test away from completing her dream and becoming a public defender. Even though she had a ton of studying still to do, she had taken off the first week in June to go to her sister's wedding where she was the maid of honor. Right before she left the wedding to go back to school, she joked with her family that she was going to be locking herself in the library and just studying 24/7 and that nobody should get in touch with her. But when she got back to campus, none of her classmates that she studied with saw her at the library. And in fact, when they didn't see her for a couple of days, they started reaching out to her and texting her and calling her to see if she was okay. But she never picked up, she never wrote back, and so no one knew what was going on with her. One of Lauren's classmates would reach out to Lauren's sister and would ask her, hey, have you talked to your sister at all? Because we haven't seen her. And Lauren's sister would write back and say, oh no, everything is just fine. Lauren told us before she left the wedding that she was going to be locking herself away and just studying 24/7, so I'm sure everything is just fine. But this classmate wasn't convinced because this felt very uncharacteristic of Lauren to not study at the library and then not to pick up any phone calls or text messages. So she would call the police and say, hey, can you please go check on Lauren's apartment because I think something's wrong. So a police officer goes over to Lauren's apartment and knocks on the door. Lauren doesn't answer. They try the door. It's locked. The officer goes outside and looks around the outside of her apartment. There's no broken windows. There's no obvious signs of a break-in. And so the officer leaves and says, I can't do anything else unless you guys file a missing person report. So a couple of days go by and there's still no word from Lauren. And at this point, Lauren's family is now concerned and they do file a missing persons report. So the police go back to Lauren's apartment. They try knocking. She doesn't come to the door. The door is still locked. So they get the owner of the apartment building to open up her door. And when they go inside, Lauren's not in there. And at first, it doesn't seem like anything is wrong until they notice her cell phone, her keys, her purse, and her laptop are all still in there. This made the police think there could be something sinister happening here. And so they went to Lauren's friends and family and they asked, does she have any enemies? Does she have any reason to be fearful for her life? Initially, they said, no one would want to harm Lauren. Everybody loves Lauren. But Lauren's sister would say to the police that there was actually one comment Lauren made a year ago that now seemed a little bit more relevant. Lauren had just got back from a vacation and she noticed there were things in her apartment that seemed like they had been moved, like someone else had been here, but no one was supposed to be in her apartment. And so she told her sister, and the two of them talked about it a little bit, but it was quickly forgotten about because there wasn't a reasonable explanation, and Lauren was so busy with school, she didn't pursue it. After police have done a thorough investigation of the inside of Lauren's apartment, they move outside of her apartment and begin scanning the exterior of the building, and they make a huge discovery. An officer who was looking in the dumpster noticed this big black trash bag that looked out of place. And when he tried to move it, it was very heavy. And when they opened it, they found a human torso, and it was Lauren's. Right before this discovery was made,
she been in there even when they went there the first time.
Yeah.
And only if motherfuckers move with urgency, family. Oh no! But if her friends call you, like her study buddy friends, say, "Hey,
I haven't seen her."
Especially, I'll say this: people fail to realize like characteristics of a person does change when they move off and go to college and stuff. Those are the people who know how they act now, opposed to family. Yeah. Family is not around them now on a day-to-day basis. People change every day. So if an individual move off to college and say, "Hey, I've changed," and you be like, "Nah, you haven't changed." Trust and believe, they have changed. Knowledge have grown. Just things they might be inspired by changes day by day. So if someone from her school that studies with her all the time say, "Hey, this is well," she told us, no. Red flag, motherfucker, something is going on. Yeah. Because
obviously I'm
with
calling
her day to day.
Right. Obviously I'm calling you because we haven't seen her. So like why would I be calling you?
And trust me, if you are part of that type of group in college where y'all constantly study together, you don't show up, they call, blow you up, something's going on. It ain't just you sleep. Yeah, no. Like something, and then they be like, "Hey, give it a day." Something else, all right, it's a red flag. Yeah. And a lot of family need to realize that, because I've even experienced that, family thinking, "Oh, you haven't changed." Like I haven't been around y'all, like really around y'all in a long time. Y'all don't know who I am now. Y'all think y'all might know. You know what I'm saying? But hey, people think they know everything, right?
News crew had shown up outside the apartment building and was trying to interview people that lived in the apartment complex because they had been tipped off that somebody who was living here had been missing for over a week, and now police were getting involved. They saw what looked like a resident of the building looking visibly shaken up, watching the police doing their investigation, and they went over to interview him. It would turn out his name was Stephen McDaniel, and he was Lauren's neighbor, and he was a classmate of hers in law school. The interviewer asked Stephen, "What was your last interaction with Lauren?" And Stephen became really focused on how he had not seen her in the last week. And in fact, speaking on behalf of my other classmates, no one's seen her. She must have just vanished. As they're doing this interview, right on the other side of a bush, this police officer discovers Lauren's torso, and the news kind of gets out to the interviewer, they've found a body. And the interviewer says out loud to Stephen, "It looks like they found a body." And Stephen just completely changes, and he goes, "A body?" And then he goes completely silent to the point where the interviewer says, "Are you okay?" And he just stands there looking completely distant before walking away from the interviewer, sitting down with his back turned, and hyperventilates before the interview ends. Once this case went from missing person to homicide, the police started searching all the rooms on Lauren's floor. And Stephen's room is right next to Lauren's, so he was the first room they searched. Apparently, as they began searching his room, he was standing just outside the door and sweating profusely and drank over 10 bottles of water. In his apartment, they found a key to Lauren's apartment. And what he would do is whenever she was gone, he would sneak into her room and download her hard drive, as well as steal little souvenirs like small articles of clothing and other things that he would hoard in his apartment. When they went on Stephen's computer and checked his browser history, basically the only things he did on the internet were look at Lauren's Facebook and LinkedIn profiles. But the creepiest thing they found was this camera that was literally duct taped to this long pole. And on the camera were all these surveillance videos of Lauren, because what he would do is he would go outside and he would hoist up this camera and he would film her through her windows in the middle of the night. Stephen was quickly charged with Lauren's murder, to which he pled guilty, and he would openly confess to the details of how she died in court. Most times, he used this surveillance footage to confirm she was not in her apartment so he could sneak in and steal from her. But on the day she was murdered, he would use that camera technique to confirm she was home. And shortly after confirming she was in fact home and asleep, he put on a mask and used his key to get into her apartment and walked right into her room, which woke her up. According to Stephen, she apparently sat up and said, "You need to leave." At this point, he jumps on the bed, and in their struggle, his mask would come off, and Lauren would recognize it's clearly Stephen, and she would plead with him by name to stop. But he didn't stop, and he would strangle her to death. Afterwards, he dragged her into the bathroom and began cutting her up into fairly small pieces. Some of those pieces got flushed down the toilet. The others were put in bags, and only one of those bags was ever discovered, and that was the one of her torso. Stephen was ultimately given a life sentence. Here is a highlight of Stephen's interview when it's revealed that they've discovered Lauren's body.
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, you always hear noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's how we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there.
You got to pass out.
Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
That's what he realized. He's caught. Wow.
So that's going to do it, guys. Let me know what you thought of these 3 stories in the comments, and I will pin.
I'm wondering, was he expecting for the trash to be picked
Honestly,
up and,
that's
and
what
taken?
happened.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how just that one bag got left behind.
True.
Were you dumping them at separate times?
And possibly or did you take out a couple bags and you forgot to even throw that one in there? Or did somebody, in some type of way, when they were dumping the trash, one fell off by chance? Because obviously you say you packed it, you right? Get you some water.
I'm good.
You just said you ain't good.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Damn, something wrong with you?
But no, the fact that you took her. I'm just thinking the fact that this is your classmate, somebody that you see on a daily. Their next door neighbor. You sneak in her apartment, do all the stuff, you strangle her, and then you take her body in the bathroom and cut it up. You keep saying, yeah, I get that. I'm just like, damn. I'm just really trying to wrap my head around how sick people are.
Bro, that just, to be honest, that ain't the sickest shit I've heard. Stuff like that.
That's, man.
A lot of times with situations like that, it is somebody close to you. It is somebody who knows you, who pays attention to you, somebody you have interacted with, and everything. He tries to be, and then to be honest, he just awkward. You can tell right there.
Yeah, he does come off awkward. But another thing I was thinking about, the fact that her family only has a torso.
Yeah, you don't
no head, no arms, no legs, no nothing.
Yeah,
we just have this torso.
So what do you do with that cremation?
What do you do? I guess you know what I'm saying, because you can't really have a proper
proper burial. Well, you can. You can.
But I'm just saying a full
body.
But
it's what's the point? Kind of, you know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And then one thing I was thinking was she sexually assaulted, but you won't be able to tell because obviously
all you have is a torso.
And then obviously he cleaned up pretty well.
Had to.
He cleaned up pretty well in there for y'all not to even notice. Because he killed her in the bedroom, but he also, so he straightened up and he cleaned up everything. That's crazy, bro. And
wow.
it can be, and the crazy thing, it can be your neighbor.
It could be your neighbor.
That's the sad part.
Neighbor.
Classmate.
Y'all in law school. Study buddy. Whoever.
And the reason, honestly, bro, looking at you, why the fuck are you in law school? You can hold up under pressure. A body? Like, bro,
Yeah,
I can't. You could not be my lawyer, bro.
Whatever
like,
you're trying to
anytime they put your ass under suppression, you go. Now you said you did what now? I'm like, motherfuckers. New lawyer me, bro.
Please, ASAP. But that's sad.
I'm glad he did act that way, because if he was just able to like hold his composure.
Yeah.
But to be honest, he had evidence in his room anyway. He was that sick. He had all evidence points that he had her property
in his room.
So he was gonna get caught regardless.
You got a camera of videos of her.
You don't
her
destroy
house.
nothing, bro. You just
all that's on your browser. So all you do is sit on your browser all day.
That's weird, you know.
On Facebook and leak. Like, come on, really?
Honestly, it would be surprising for a lot of people how much people actually do that.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, most women, you got somebody in your life who actually do that. There's somebody you not necessarily you personally would think of, but somebody you have came in paths crossing with, or you've been in school with. There's somebody who's don't do shit, but in their life sit there and wonder about you. That's the sick thing.
That is sickening.
But hey, fellas, there might be women out there too.
I was like, men,
but
be careful.
It's not as common as far as amongst men that is on women.
Yeah, true. So, but just to whomever, be careful. Yeah.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up, man. Y'all let us know in the comments y'all thoughts and opinions about these stories in the comment section, or if you have any kind of like extra additional knowledge, or if you have experienced anything, just drop it in the comments. But as always, y'all know how it go, man. I do go with the name DJ Kid. This is we are.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.